the CEO of LMBPN Publishing based in Las Vegas, Nevada. They are a disruptive self-publishing and author empowerment platform that has been in operation for approximately 16 years?
2016.
2016, it was the founding date. And Michael is here representing not only his own work, those of his community, but also the 20 books to 50K community, which is it's based on Facebook initially. It's a social media platform which has attracted a very, very wide following. And you've brought that program here to Madrid for the first time. And can you tell me and our audience out there a little bit about what is 20 books to 50K? What does that mean? And what brings you here to Spain in the middle of June?
So 20 books to 50K is a group that is based around the opportunity of actually the business of becoming indie authors, indie publishers, those that create their own content, that create their own books, and then they use the distribution platforms around the world to actually sell those out. And so there's a lot of platforms that allow you to learn how to write.
Yeah.
You know, how should you create stories? 20 books is about sharing what works for people to actually get in there and understand the business side of things. And so that we've, there's, for example, the very first event was back in 2017. And at the time, in 2018, so in 2018, Amazon said at the time they had over 1,000 people that were making over six figures in the Kindle Unlimited program. 100 of those people were at that event that year.
So by six figures, you're talking about self-published authors who are making more than 100,000 US dollars.
Correct.
And this is annually.
Correct.
Okay. And you had 100 of those individuals at your event.
Yes.
Okay.
Even that year. So it's grown since then. And then so Craig Martell puts most of these on, and he's been doing it over time. And so he and his wife, and why Madrid? To be honest, Craig and his wife are considering moving to Spain.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so they're looking at moving it. And so he's like, and there's a lot of times there are people around the world that pay attention to all of the free content. Once again, 20 Books is a non-profit organization.
How big is the community? How many
about
people?
65,000 people on.
65,000?
Yes.
Okay, so that's not insignificant to say the least. Okay.
No.
And so you were saying, though, that a lot of people pay attention to the free content.
Yes.
So they're taking advantage of this opportunity that you've given them.
Yes.
What happens at a 20 books to 50K event like the one that's happening here in Madrid and has been happening yesterday and today being June 4th. So I guess June 3rd and 4th,
yes,
2022, you've had your first inaugural event in Madrid.
So what happens at pretty much all of them is you have a high energy opportunity of people who really care to grow their business. And that business is related to selling books, selling content, selling opportunity of what they're doing. Some become publishers. Oftentimes it's people who wrote their own books who are learning the mechanics of the business itself. So at that time, there's in this case about 250, 275 people that are here, and they have 28 different sessions. So there's 14 sessions, 2 of them running simultaneously, and they get to pick and choose what's going on. Typically, the big one that's in Vegas every year is about 2,000, 2,500
When does that take place?
I'm sorry?
When does that take place?
It's always in November.
Okay.
Probably going to be somewhere around November 8th to the 12th, somewhere in there.
Okay.
So at that time, but they're always recorded free.
Okay.
So you can go back and look over the preceding years of what's going on. So if people are interested, and that's really the message we're trying to bring is there are opportunities for authors, opportunities to accomplish grabbing readers and getting people involved in reading your stories. And we want to let people know about that.
Right.
The traditional methodology of going through a gatekeeper, through agents, through the publishing houses is not the only opportunity that's out there.
Okay.
And there are a lot of authors making a lot of money.
Okay.
And so just to clarify that, I myself am a 7-figure author with my books.
So what kind of an author does this best suit? Because there's so many. There's such a wide variety. You have everybody from Instagram poets who have been very popular in the past couple of years to people who produce thematic coloring books to genre writers, thrillers, romance, science fiction, to academic authors. What is this? Who's best served by this community and the ideas that you're presenting at these events?
If you're a self-starter,
Okay.
if you'd like to be in charge of your own destiny,
Mhm.
that's really more where it is, because you will work.
Okay.
You know, there isn't the individual who's going to say, I'm just going to maybe write today and tomorrow I'll put some. No, you're going to be maybe writing half a day in the morning, half a day you're going to be studying on marketing, you're going to be working on pushing your books out. And this isn't a situation where you're going from, you can go from fair to fair, but this are individuals who, for instance, we have LMBPN, my company, we have 7 different languages that we put books out. So we have 1,500 books over the last 6 years. 90% are IP that we own. 10% are the published that we do.
Okay.
But then we've moved now into 7 different languages. And so even our LMBPN International FCZ, based out of Sharjah, is a 7-figure business.
Okay. And what type of books, just for your own, for our edification, does LMBPN do?
We happen to do paranormal, science fiction, urban fantasy, sword and sorcery. We're in those genres. We have some action thriller, action adventure.
Sure.
I have one unsuccessful romance.
So do I. Actually, it's surprising you should mention it. I could name several unsuccessful romances, actually.
So I actually was talking about
you're
the
talking
books,
about a book.
stories.
Right,
the stories.
right. Sorry. Yeah.
And so, you know, what we're doing from that perspective. But honestly, romance is one of the biggest genres out there.
Yeah, of course.
And so if you're, you know, here I have had an opportunity to talk to a gentleman by the name of Pablo. He was the one who helped, you know, implement the 20 Books Madrid, because there's always a person on the ground from the home country.
Yeah.
And so I had a chance to talk to Pablo yesterday, and he has about 8 to 10 people. I understand he has a course. If you're in Spanish and you're interested in doing indie authoring, he has a course. I don't have anything nonfiction.
Okay.
So I have nothing to do. Any income that I bring personally is strictly through LMBPN.
Okay.
And so from that perspective, but he said generally it's thrillers,
yes,
which is, you know, the second largest genre. And then you also have romance, which is the largest genre. It seems to be the 2 main genres here in Spain that are really catching hold.
Gotcha. And just to clarify, the title, 20 Books to 50K, my understanding is that it's you will be able to write 20 books and generate $50,000 in sales. That's the goal.
That was my original. So what happened is, and why I coined it, is I had, when I was writing my first series, I would write these author notes at the back, and I would explain my story of being an indie author.
Yeah.
And then at the time, I had 4 fans who were really asking me a lot of questions.
Yep.
So I said, hey, I'll tell you what. I had figured out that I was making $7.50 a day at that moment, and I only had 3 books out. I said, okay, if I make $7.50 a day, if I could scale that up to 20 books, I could make $50,000 a year.
Okay.
That was my intent.
Yeah.
I actually made $20,000 a year by my 4th or 5th month, and then I was making 6 figures by my year at the 1 year mark.
Well, that's much faster than I think most people would.
So some people take a long time.
Okay.
You know, and others go a lot faster. I happen to be one of the first who really hit it out of the park. Okay. But I was willing to share what was working for me.
Yeah. And how, so I think one of the questions people always, because when you do hear these success stories, they while they're not unique, they often can be outliers. You know, for every example of a successful author like yourself who's managed to make this, you know, tremendous living out of this, do you have an idea, do you have a percentage of the people in your community who've been able to achieve the goals that they've set for themselves?
Well, let's talk a little bit about the American and the Spanish, right?
All right,
so
absolutely.
Pablo was able to say that he's got a group of maybe 8 to 10 people that he congregates around, or that all discuss.
Yeah.
He himself is making his own income.
Okay.
So he's full-time.
Great.
He's got a lot of books that he has in his backlist.
And I think you've established that to really do this well, you do need to be full-time.
No, a lot of people get into it without being full-time.
Oh, okay.
They lead into it.
Okay.
And so honestly, one of the challenges is people will have a full-time job.
Yeah.
They'll write because they want to get out of that job.
Sure.
And so they'll do anything it takes to get out of it. So they write, they become successful enough.
Yeah.
They give up the job, but then now there's nobody to tell them they have to be up at 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And so they stumble at that moment in life.
Right. The motivation.
The motivations and where it goes on. But to give you an answer, so here at most events, half of the individuals that go to a 20-book event have never pushed the button, which means they've never released a book.
Okay.
And then most of them have, you know, and then usually genre is a lot stronger than nonfiction, but we have nonfiction as well. Judith Anderle, my wife and the MO and the CEO of the International, she had a talk yesterday on rights.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities on the rights field of what's going on.
Absolutely. And you can license, you can translate, so you can amplify your own income based on these opportunities.
Yes.
Okay. And just curious, because Kindle and Amazon has been very integral to the success of many indie authors.
Yes.
Particularly KU, which is Kindle Unlimited, has been, and I know that this is part of your own personal story. To what extent is the community dependent on Amazon maintaining their way of doing business, and what comes next for this community? How does this community evolve?
It's interesting because since the community is nonprofit,
Okay.
ergo, all of the different, as you're probably aware, there have been a lot of things that have caused internal turmoil
Sure.
to the industry. And every single time we've had complete groups implode for political, social, whatever the reasons are.
Sure.
It
People are very opinionated.
They are,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter to us because at the top of 20 books, there's only two of us that really manage what's going on, and we make no money from it. So if half of the people leave tomorrow, what would we care? There have been a lot of things that but going back to some of that, the opportunities are fantastic. I believe that everything that I've seen so far, and I don't have any in fact, we haven't had.
You don't have any special inside.
No, not at all.
Insider knowledge here.
No, I do not. In fact, I usually come to you for that. With that though, we cannot see Amazon doing anything different. Here's a few reasons why. First, how many people do you believe indie authors send to Amazon to go see their book? Even if you believe that a very good ratio of people that you send to purchase a book is 1% to 2%, that means we send 100 people for one person.
Gotcha.
So there's a massive marketing opportunity.
Massive exponential.
Indie authors themselves are now spending millions of dollars a month in simple Amazon advertising.
Yep.
So we will probably, and this is a guess on my part, it's a very subjective opinion, but we will probably become a net profit area because of so many people trying to build up their own
promote their own books.
Yes.
Yeah. What is it that people consistently get wrong about your work or about this community that you would like to correct? I mean, this is an opportunity to go on the record and say, it's not like this, it's more like this.
It is hard work.
Okay.
You are really going to be there. You really should love what you do.
Okay.
Don't believe the fantasy. When you write an 80,000 word book, that's just the beginning of your path. Now you need to get to do another one. Love what you do. You can find someone else to support you in the areas you're weak in.
Yes.
If you don't want to be out there talking to everybody, that's not a bad thing. You can find someone to help you with that. So there's so much opportunity both locally within the country of your choice and internationally that I believe it's going to go for a while. And with entertainment being what it is, they will always have room for new readers across the world.
That's all excellent advice and excellent news, I think, for the community here at the Madrid Book Fair and globally who are interested in books and reading and just love the process of writing, talking about writing, and again, finding that camaraderie, which is something that you've been able to develop online for people. Where can people find more information about 20 Books to 50K? Maybe in Las Vegas?
Yeah, it's in just on Facebook. There's a 20 Books, TO50K, 20 Books to 50K.
Yes.
There's a short little thing that basically says, look, we only have two rules, which is, and I'll try to make it politically correct, which is don't market yourself because you'll get kicked out.
Yes.
And the other one is don't be a jerk. Be considerate.
Be kind.
Be kind. Really.
Right.
Thank you. Better than I originally.
Not at all. Not at all. I just want to say thank you to everybody out there in our viewing audience. I'm Ed Nawotka from Publishers Weekly in New York, and I've been with Michael Anderle of LMBPN Publishing in Las Vegas, Nevada. You can find them online at lmbpn.com as well as .com, as well as on Facebook at 20 Books 2. That's TO50K. And we'd just like to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for having us. And enjoy the rest of the book fair this year, 2022. And we hope to see you again next year, Michael.
I'd love it.
Fabulous. Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.